Hey everybody, today I want to teach you how to make a protocol. So we can go into the workbook you have, and we will learn all about the importance of protocols. So why would you even make a protocol? What's protocol? A protocol is like what's going to happen. And one of the reasons we do them is to create peace and safety in vulnerable situations. So I suggest that you make a protocol for going out to eat. Make a protocol for an unexpected illness. Well, obviously you couldn't do it if it was unexpected, but if you find that you keep having these situations where your food is thrown off or it's causing you too much turmoil, you can, and that it's repeated over and over and over. Yes, we do obstacle plans, but a protocol, how I'm going to handle a party, how I'm going to handle going out to eat, how I'm going to handle when people come over. A protocol is very helpful. I'm just going to share my screen back to here. So not only does it create peace and safety in these vulnerable situations, because you've already thought through them, but it also retrains your brain and your nervous system that you're safe. So often we get into these challenging situations and we freak out. And one of the ways we freak out is because that's what we've always done. So we're not going to do that. We're going to retrain the brain and the nervous system that you will be safe in these new situations. The other piece is that it lets the Holy Spirit in a real way. Guys, so often we do these prayers, Lord help me, but we're not actually doing our part that will let God in. We expect him to just miraculously change our brains and override all the habit loops we've created. If we don't change and put some real effort into changing, the Lord can't give us his strength. I'm going to say that again. Unless we put some real effort towards changing, the Lord can't give us his strength. So unless we want strength to not overeat, we need to make a plan to actually do that. Different protocols that you might try are fatigued or when your sleep is limited, a comfort protocol, maybe when you can comfort yourself during strong emotions, stress or workday protocol, eating out at restaurants or other people's homes, parties, especially during the holidays, and any illnesses. I personally have a migraine protocol. Okay, so I want you to list your top 1 to 3 protocols that would be the most helpful for you to develop in your life. The next 2 sheets in your workbook lead you through, tell you how to create the protocol. So number 1, you're going to run an intentional model guided by the Holy Spirit. There is an example in the following pages, but I suggest that you decide, how do I want to feel during this situation? Or start in that, so starting in the F line, how do I want to feel? Feelings that are helpful maybe is you want to feel dedicated, committed, devoted, maybe even peaceful. And then you just go from there with the next, if I'm feeling that way, what would my actions be and not be? Or you may want to start in the R line with your desired result. And I'll show you an example of that. Now, what might also be helpful is to run an unintentional model first to get a little clarity on what's been happening. So how have you been showing up? How have you been handling when the kids don't sleep? What are you telling yourself? What is the thought? Oh, I'm so exhausted. Well, when I feel so exhausted, what am I feeling? Hopeless? So you can just run that model. Number 2, you'll create your protocol. And number 3, you will prepare by practicing visualization. So what that means is that you will write down the flow of what the protocol would look like. And you visualize it. A little hack, you guys, is your brain does not know if you are actually experiencing something or if you're visualizing it. So you can create new habit loops and retrain your brain without even doing anything except for thinking through the process. And then if there's any specific kits that you need to put together, for example, maybe there's a comfort basket that you'll keep with all the things that you need comfort, or fatigue. I thought this was kind of fun that maybe on the fatigue days, You can have a list of what the everyday essentials are that absolutely need to get done on a clipboard, like copies, so that you automatically know, oh, that's where I'm going. I'm only going to do these essentials today and not expect so much. I keep my migraine plan with me, so anytime it hits, I know exactly what to do. So the next 2 pages are your worksheets to create your protocol. So let me give you an example of a protocol. So I created this protocol because I had found that a couple months ago, I went out to eat with this friend and I overate, and I did not want to do that again. So I ran my unintentional model that I was feeling unsettled. Essentially, I kept eating and didn't check in with myself, and I overate at lunch. Okay. But to create my intentional model, I started down here at step 1 with the result. I don't overeat at lunch. That's the result I wanted. So I backed up to that, what I would do and not do. So I made sure that I didn't overeat. And then what was the feeling that I would need? So what I would do, I'll drink hot tea. I'll decide what I eat ahead of time. When I receive my meal, I'm going to portion my plate of what I'm going to take home and what I'm going to eat. After I order, I'm going to go text myself in the bathroom once I know which meal I'm going to order, because I had a couple different things planned. I'm going to take 4 deep breaths if I'm rushing. I'm going to keep my protocol that I'll show you in a minute in my purse. I'm going to make sure I take some food home. And I'm also going to read the protocol in the bathroom when I go and I text myself. So what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to eat quickly. I am not going to eat the whole plate. I am not going to order from shoulds. I'm going to actually order what I want. And I'm not also going to entertain this idea that sometimes I get, which is it's only protein. And so even though I portion my plate, sometimes I'll be like, oh, it's only protein, and I'll eat the protein portion, but still I'm overeating, and that does not make me feel good. So to do those things, what would I need to be feeling? And I was like, oh, I need to be like dedicated or devoted to working this plan. And what thought makes me feel dedicated? But I'm dedicated to eating peacefully and moderately. Yes. So I'm dedicated to eating peacefully and moderately. Okay. So then next, I opened up my little protocol plan. Whoops. Where is it? Right here. Keep rotating, Denise. Okay, here we go. All right. And so part of your protocol on the side, see how it says out to lunch. There are 3 parts. There's the safe eating part where you list your food. The food behaviors is next. So that's the safe eating part. Any essential elements, there's a place for the intentional thought that you created. And then the protocol flow, which is like, how do I see this play out? Which I think is really helpful for the visualization. All right. So when I was going to lunch with my friend, I knew that we would likely go to 2 separate places. So I put not only what I would eat at each place, but also how much I would eat. And so you can see that. The food behaviors, I eat slowly. If I find I'm eating too fast, I'm going to do the 4x4x4 breathing, which for me means inhale 4 times, exhale 4 times, and repeat that 4 times. I'm also going to portion my plate at the start of my meal, and I'm committing to taking some home. Some other essential elements. So this is what I do, how I talk to myself, any other details or preparations that need to be made. So I said, I'm going to remember that food is not the problem. It's just been the solution. So I can always check in with myself like, hey, this isn't a problem. What is the problem? I'm going to keep my protocol in my purse. I'm also going to take some home. I do believe that how we talk to ourselves is extremely important, especially on like a fatigue protocol. Like, hey, this is enough. You're doing enough, because we can really bash ourselves for not doing enough. So really talk about, hey, honey, this is totally fine. How are you going to talk to yourself? And then the protocol flow. So it was like, okay, how's this going to go down when we walk in the restaurant? So after we walk in the restaurant, I'm going to order hot tea. I'm going to settle in. I'm going to make sure I order what I want. I'm going to follow the 2 food rules, which are order what I want, eat food I love, but that makes me feel good about myself. I'm going to go to the bathroom and text a commitment to myself. I'm also going to read my protocol. Then when my meal comes, I'm going to portion what I'm going to eat and what I'm going to take home. And then I'm only going to eat the portioned segment. So I imagine myself only eating the portion segment. What would trip me up though is if I'm eating too fast. So if I find myself eating too fast, I'm going to empty my hands, do my 4x4x4 breathing, and say to myself, I'm dedicated to eating peacefully and moderately. I'm dedicated to eating peacefully and moderately. And then I'm going to take some home. Okay. Now, the other part of this protocol is this whole concept of I can't pray for the Lord to do something if I'm not willing to do my part. And so behind me, recently, I had the realization that I'm trying to do a bunch of stuff that isn't mine to do. It's Jesus's, God's. Some examples are things like change my 16-year-old. Because when I try to do Jesus's job, when I try to do God's job, I have a lot of chaos in my life. I'm making my life harder. So this is one of the ways you can make your life easier. I can't change my son. His heart's going to be what it's going to be. But what I can do is I can love him. And I put on here, train him, which essentially means like follow through on the consequences of the choices he makes. Well, I can do that. I can love him. And I can also follow through on the consequences of the choices that he's made. I don't have to be comfortable about it. But once I stop being in charge of changing him and just do my part, it feels a lot more peaceful. The other thing is that you can't lose weight. That's Jesus's job. He's the one that's going to form your body and help you lose weight. He's the one that's going to make your body look like it does. But what's your part? My part is to make a plan, to follow the plan. And if I don't follow the plan, really look at that and just work the program. Am I doing my morning sheets and evening sheets? If I'm not, how is Jesus going to form my body? If I'm not making a plan, how's Jesus going to form my body and help me lose weight? If I'm not sticking to the plan, if I'm not problem solving to figure out, oh, what's tripping me up and doing something different, how's he going to do that? He just can't. And I can't change my husband. That's Jesus's job to change my husband's heart. But what can I do? I can be an authentic partner. And how do I become an authentic partner? By taking care of myself and looking at my own shortcomings and working on myself. I can't handle the way my husband handles his stress. I can't handle, that wasn't the word. I can't control the way that he handles his stress. What I can control, and my part is when I'm having a stress response and reaction to that, ooh, some great information about myself. I can look at that. I don't have to change my husband's stress response, but I do get to look at how that affects me and dive into that. I don't have to yell back at him. My husband gets to take care of himself. Now, here's a couple things. There might be something that I need to address with my husband. And then that is being an authentic partner, being a real partner. Saying, hey, we need to talk about this. And maybe not in the moment, outside of the moment, but to be a real, authentic partner. So I hope learning how to do the protocol and taking ownership over your part and what God needs you to do so he can come in and use his strength has been helpful for you today. You know exactly where to find me, and have a blessed day.